We have all dreamed of a better world. This typically human desire is perhaps no stranger to a feline that is rarely heard of. The caracal. Several generations of these solitary wanderers have left the savannah and set up home around the city of Cape Town in South Africa. To survive in this concrete jungle, caracals have learned to live alongside us. At some point in every life, there is one event that changes everything. This is as true for people as it is for caracals, felines measuring around a meter long and weighing less than 20 kilos. The adventures of this young female reflect the destinies of several caracals that have gradually conquered an urban El Dorado. With her sandy-colored coat, she appears to be perfectly adapted to living in the savannah of northern South Africa. But in the wild, nothing goes according to plan. Only 60 centimeters tall, the caracal turns any available elevation into a vantage point. The caracal is unaware that this mound of sand shelters thousands of intrepid warriors, ready to defend their underground home. The ants climb the furry foothills, firing out jets of acid and distracting the predator with her finely honed senses. Her eyes can see in total darkness, and they have a field of vision covering 260 degrees. No need to move her head in order to see around her. Using 20 different muscles, her large ears can pivot like satellite dishes. Still no need to move her head in order to listen to unusual sounds. The caracal's hearing is finely tuned, like that of a conductor. She can distinguish a single wrong note in this world of harmonies. Yet she has to deal with the unexpected. like asset attacks from intrepid armies. A lick of her muzzle, and her sense of smell kicks in. A rat has passed by. A fat, attentive adult male. But in the wild, the best laid plans often go awry. Pale, chanting goshawk makes off with her meal in front of her very eyes. Like many felines, this young female depends on her instincts, but also learns from her experiences. Today she has learned a life lesson. The sky is full of thieves. It's the final straw that sets this caracal on a path to find a territory where she could set up home, to the south. Under the cover of darkness, she will walk up to 20 kilometers a day. This adolescent is curious and opportunistic and reacts to anything unusual in her surroundings, including a muffled roar in the savannah. A waterfall. The local bushmen call this place Ankerebis, the place of great noise. After 6 months spent under the burning sun, the young female discovers the powerful force of fast-running water for the first time. As she heads south, she enters a world where water is abundant and where there is a whole new soundscape. rock hyraxes, potential prey. Despite their appearance, these furballs are related to elephants. But they're much stealthier and more alert than their large grey cousins. Hyraxes use these rocky mazes to hide from sight, leaving predators hungry. The young female is forced further into exile, far from these inaccessible creatures. She can't linger. Adult caracals can go without food for a week, but fasting like this leaves them weaker and less able to hunt. The female is not the only animal fleeing these vast expanses, made hostile by the blazing sun. Red hartebeest, springbok, and adult wildebeest take the same route, but their large size puts them beyond the reach of the caracal's claws. In the savannah, caracals have a similar diet to jackals. They mainly hunt small prey. The female is vulnerable every time she is on the move. Her small size forces her to avoid big cats. Up against a leopard, the young caracal stands no chance. So it's best to keep moving. Her journey is fraught with dangers. Such as lions crossing the sea of dry grass. An adult lioness can be 20 times heavier than a caracal. Confident of her strength, she walks fearlessly out in the open, trailing her prey. Following the seasonal rains, to ensure the future of her young. In contrast, the female caracal has no offspring and nothing to retain her. The movements of this solitary creature are dictated only by her immediate needs in this newly green world. In the dry savanna, caracals can survive on the water contained in the flesh of their prey, but when there is no food, she quenches her thirst where she can. Yet she doesn't seem to be alone at the watering hole. Something is lurking in the water. Gets closer, and so does the creature. She has survived her first encounter with her own reflection. Having avoided a confrontation with the underwater Caracal, she carries on her way, still hungry. Her acute hearing tells her that this place is full of appetizing birds. The twittering seems to come from a single tree, from one giant nest. Caracals are not specialist carnivores. They can eat any small prey on the savannah that walks, crawls, or even flies, like sociable weaver birds. These birds live in large groups and are endemic to southern Africa. Their communal nest keeps them busy all year round. Together, they build and maintain a dwelling that can house more than 100 birds and last for several generations. The lone caracal looks for the entrance to this hive of activity. But the wily weaver birds have been careful to create openings to the nest below. The caracal investigates to see if this straw house has an opening at the top, maybe a chimney or a vent. There's no way in, not even for an acrobatic cat. Worse still, the thatched roof is claw-resistant. There seems to be no flaw in the straw. After watching the sociable weavers feeding their chicks, the female caracal opts for a new technique. Missed again. Despite being able to jump to a height of 3.5 meters from a standing start, the young female still hasn't eaten. She is exhausted and suffering from hunger and thirst. Time is running out. Starvation and the long walk south have brought her within reach of a new society of builders. A group of social primates that has shaped our planet. Their society is built on the edge of an infinite pond that will expose her to new challenges. Something makes her turn back. Perhaps fear of heights, or a fear of the unknown. She will make do with cautiously exploring the outskirts of this land of white cubes built on the coast. This expanse of liquid, known to us as the Atlantic Ocean, carries a salty, musky fragrance. She has arrived on the outskirts of Cape Town, a noisy world, seemingly devoid of lions and other big cats, where she seems to be the most imposing of the predators and scavengers. On this beach, an unusual odor floats in the morning breeze, creating an invisible stream of gamey smells. To find its source, the female caracal tacks back and forth, like a boat sailing upwind. There's no high grass here to hide in. Her hunger forces her to confront this alarming cocktail of smells. And sounds. A fur seal carcass, a gift from the ocean. A meager meal, but her first in a long time. Though caracals are essentially nocturnal in their natural habitat, this female has taken to traveling during the day. Close to the coast, the players have not yet arrived in this man-made meadow they call a golf course. Apart from the scattered thickets and a few rare bushes, there is no shelter for her to hide in. Her sense of smell leaves her in no doubt. The undergrowth is covered with the fresh droppings of small herbivores. But time is running out. The first golfers are starting to arrive. And she's already been spotted by the local inhabitants. irresistible wild rabbits. But Cape doves have betrayed her. The rabbit shows no sign of running. It knows there are far more than 18 holes and hideouts on this course. In this open landscape, the caracal depends on thickets to corner her prey. Finally, a meal that lives up to her expectations. Good reason to celebrate. The caracal settles in these game-filled suburbs and adapts her behavior to take advantage of the available prey. In the middle of the day, she escapes the heat and the glare of the public eye and heads to a cave in the cliffs, waiting until dusk to roam the outskirts of Cape Town. When evening comes, she appears on the margins of the human settlement and the wild. In the hills, she has to contend with a phenomenon that blurs her senses, the sea breeze. The wind drowns out sounds and dampens vibrations, but provides a glimpse of one of the ambassadors of this concrete jungle. A rat, a prey as coveted as it is cunning. Sheltered from the wind behind a wall, the female regains her senses, but it seems that the rat can walk through walls. The rodent's brain is equipped with neurons that enable it to draw a precise mental map of its environment. So it knows all the shortcuts to escape predators, especially if they are easily distracted by imaginary airborne threats. The caracals that have set up home on the outskirts of Cape Town have adapted to different habitats, including industrial wastelands and abandoned military lookouts. Like the wolves that live in Chernobyl's exclusion zone, they have found themselves an ecological niche that provides shelter and an abundance of rodents. In Cape Town, caracals play the same role as foxes in London, falcons in New York, or owls in Berlin. These opportunists sit at the top of the food chain in an ecosystem that humans have created from scratch. But the city's asphalt arteries remain impassable for caracals. They prefer the quieter, wooded streets of the suburbs. The city's outskirts are gradually encroaching on the caracal's natural habitat, leaving the animals no choice but to adapt to a life alongside humans, with all its enticing opportunities. To survive, rats, like caracals, know all the best hiding places. The fenced-off properties emit a tantalizing smell of tinned meat. Even better, these concrete rectangles indicate the presence of refreshing oases. For supercats that can leap 3 meters high, these fences are no obstacle. The gardens smell of rats and a cocktail of unknown scents. Even the water smells different. The female caracal has entered into the territory of a creature that is unknown in the savannah. A beast that doesn't have to hunt for its own food. The collared monster makes a poor guard, oblivious to the movements of the cat's velvety paws. In the savannah, caracals are essentially dependent on their prey to quench their thirst, and they rarely scavenge. In urban habitats, they adapt to their new situations and change their feeding habits. Many people in the suburbs of Cape Town tolerate caracals and even record their incursions into their homes. Which are often brief. Or cut short. Frequent encounters generate a steady stream of images on social media, bearing witness to the ingenuity and adaptability of these felines. This footage allows scientists to study urban caracals and paint a portrait of an animal that has now taken up residence around Cape Town. A cunning feline that is quick to learn the strategies of sneaky rodents. Currently, there are an estimated 60 caracals living around Cape Town. Mostly animals that have lived in the suburbs for several generations. Like this young male, they can mainly be found on the edge of the city and the wilderness, where they feed. Domestic birds, most of which are unable to fly, are easier to catch than they are to eat. To find food or a soulmate, Male caracals can cover distances of more than 40 kilometers a day. Their territories are 3 times larger than those of females. Rarely seen most of the year, they make their presence known to females in the depths of winter. At times, the cliffs of Cape Town resonate with the sound of their mating calls. Their romance creates a buzz on social media. When mating is over, caracals resume their solitary, silent routines. Though 2 months later, the female is no longer alone. After a gestation period of more than 8 weeks, she has given birth to 3 kittens in an isolated den. The first is stillborn, but the surviving brother and sister have inherited a place to explore and play in the foothills, far from Cape Town. Starved after 2 months of nursing, their mother goes off to hunt. Left alone, the kittens take the opportunity to hone their senses. They are still short-sighted, but their sense of smell is already 60 times more developed than humans. They detect the pheromones their mother leaves in her wake. Their mother's absences are a chance to develop their natural hunting instincts. Climbing trees to scan their surroundings. Where they will soon hunt for birds. Learning to use their claws to climb down. And even attempting to infiltrate the sturdy defenses of strange, armored animals. All the skills they will need in order to survive in this suburban world, with all its surprises. Tortoises are not the only animals living quietly in the outskirts of Cape Town. There are other solitary creatures lurking in the undergrowth. This tragic outcome is rare, but it's a reminder that large cats will always rule over caracals. Thanks to their unique markings, around 100 leopards have been identified using photographs. They live in the mountainous areas to the east of Cape Town, in territories that overlap with the caracals. It's a hopeful sign for this vulnerable species. Without their mother's protection, the surviving cubs will have to face the many dangers of this unusual semi-urban jungle on their own. The most common threat to these cats has been clearly identified: road traffic. There are now so many cars that caracals are in danger whenever they travel, making the journey from the savannah to Cape Town virtually impossible. To ensure the survival of urban caracal populations, it is essential to build passageways. Culverts, in particular. Tunneling under embankments, they ensure the flow of water and allow animals to cross roads safely. Caracals face yet another danger: rat poison. At the top of the urban food chain, these predators store toxins from their prey and often die. Though less common, even well-fed domestic dogs sometimes kill caracals. Today, thanks to protected areas, caracal populations are stable. Tomorrow, they will probably appear where we least expect them.